Associate a childhood story with the pleasures of letter writing. Back when I was growing up in Mission, Texas, my brother and I would often see our mother sitting at the kitchen table writing letters to her sister Charlotte, who lived in the piney woods of East Texas and Tyler, Texas. And one time we heard our mother talking about dear mama and dear papa with her sister. And my brother and I asked her, who are dear mama and dear papa? And she said, when I was a little girl with Aunt Charlotte, this is in the 1920s, they would see their mother writing letters, and they would say, who are you writing to? And their mother would say, I'm writing to dear mama and dear papa, which were her parents, who were born in Germany in the 1860s. So I always associate letter writing with why my mother and aunt called their grandparents dear mama and dear papa. So, as the story tells, I come from a long line of Texas letter writers. And my mother drilled into me and my brother from a young age that you always send handwritten thank you notes when you get a letter, when you get a gift, and after you move out, you better send your parents a letter every week about what's going on in your life in college and afterwards. So I was very dutiful, and I did indeed write letters home. Every week when I was in college, and then after I moved to New York. And these were really a weekly journal of what my life was like. I would actually photocopy the letters, and later I would actually type them on carbon paper, if any of you remember what a carbon paper is. And eventually, when I got a dot matrix printer, I would print out a separate copy to save for myself. It all sounds a little neurotic, but I do have a great record of what my life was like. So I kept writing to my mother after she moved in with her sister in the early 1980s after she got cancer. And I addressed the letter to both of them. And after my mother passed away in 1984, I just kept writing to Aunt Charlotte for another 13 years. And she greatly appreciated them, and she wrote to me every week. And God forbid that I ever missed a week, because she would immediately let me know if the letter did not arrive in Tyler, Texas on the appointed schedule. And I could expect a phone call from her. Now, you have to remember that my Aunt Charlotte lived in deep East Texas, and she had a very thick Texas accent. What Joan Rivers is to Brooklyn accents, my Aunt Charlotte was to East Texas accents. And she would call me, and she would pronounce my name not as one syllable, not as Van, but as two syllables, as Van. So she would call me in a kind of an irate voice and say, Van, where is my letter? And actually, one of the letters I wrote to her alluded to this kind of exchange. In 1985, I wrote to her, Dear Aunt Charlotte, thanks for the call today. I have been meaning to write, but things have been hectic at work. Not frantic, but enough to keep me occupied. So what did Aunt Charlotte write about? Well, she told me about visits with friends, the latest sermon at the Green Acres Baptist Church of Tyler, Texas, that she liked to attend, her children and grandchildren, celebrities like Andy Rooney when they went through Tyler and gave public lectures. And she loved to talk about the stock market. She was a wheeler dealer who, back in the days before computers, would actually do her stock charts by hand, which was a pretty amazing thing to do for a woman with kind of arthritis. And so she wrote to me, and I dutifully saved every single letter that she and my mother wrote to me. I tied them up in twine. Here is a bundle of them. A small portion of letters from 1985, and as you know, we can tell you I have boxes and boxes of letters. One letter she wrote to me in 1987 gets a flavor of what she liked to say. She wrote Saturday night, 9:30. She said, Dear Van, after the Golden Girls, there's nothing on Saturday night TV that I look forward to. I howl over the Golden Girls. It reminds me of the way Daddy used to laugh over Jack Benny. So my letters to Mom and Aunt Charlotte added up to a weekly journal of my life. being single in New York in the 1980s, my life as a magazine writer, and then married life in the suburbs of Connecticut. These letters touched on the struggles to have a child, difficult family dynamics, and job frustrations. On September 17, 1993, I mused, I never thought I would get in this jam, but here I am, and on some level, it's hard to accept. I keep hoping things will stabilize, but they never really have. Having a house, medical problems, little did I know what life had in store for me. But eventually, I could write about the pleasures of family life. I once wrote about my son when he was 2.5 years old. Before he goes to bed at night, he comes downstairs and asks me to give him some yogurt, and I do. And that's a sweet moment. By 1997, Aunt Charlotte's health was fading, and that became obvious in her shaky handwriting and uneven typing. In one of my last letters to her, I wrote that I wrote more about my son, who had then just passed his 3rd birthday, and I wrote, we took Sam to his first movie last weekend to see Hercules at a multiplex. It went well and he enjoyed it and even wants to go again. So the era of handwritten letters really ended when Aunt Charlotte died in 1997. That's when emails started coming in, and I started emailing like everybody else, and there really wasn't anybody else left that liked to get handwritten letters. I'm kind of sorry about that. I do like writing them, and I still do. Mostly I send thank you notes when I get a gift, and I send birthday cards, and I'll send letters to friends of mine, baby boomers who I grew up with, who still kind of like getting letters, so we will exchange letters. I will even send a letter to one of my mother's remaining friends now in her late 90s, who has her daughter read them to her. And for me, handwritten letters are special because I can really see, even to this day, my mother's personality and Aunt Charlotte's in their letters, how they express themselves, how they even wrote that very distinctive handwriting. And I wonder how many people here have had that experience of seeing the handwriting of a family member or a friend. And I figure not very many. And I find that handwritten letters have a real intimacy that you just can't get with email. It's really somebody sharing themselves with you on a very private basis. I like to think of it as just me, just you. When you do a handwritten letter, there's no BCC, there's no accidental share with all, and nobody's going to hack a handwritten letter and post it on Facebook. It's about as private as you can be these days, and that makes it something very intimate and special. And when a letter pops up in my mailbox at home, then it's really a tremendous thing for me, and it's like somebody, I'm holding the letter and somebody sharing something special and even a little secret. So now I want to move into the audience participation part of the day. My beautiful assistant Naomi is going to hand me a box of paper here. I want all of you, if you want, to share the pleasure of handwritten letter. I have envelopes here with a stamp and paper, so you too can have the pleasure of sending a letter. You can send it to your parents, to your kids, to a friend, to the president, to the library.
We can send it to you.
Send it to me. I'm easily online. Okay. And whoever receives your letter, believe me, is going to be stunned by it. So now here's your chance to do something you may not have done for a long time. And I promise you that my mother and Aunt Charlotte would be very pleased if you did it. And if everybody wants it, really, here it is.
Yeah.